Pietermaritzburg. Now, two separate inquests into the deaths of former ANC President General Albert Luthuli and human rights lawyer and activist Griffiths Mxenge will begin. Both the Luthuli and Mxenge families are expected to attend the proceedings today. Newzroom Afrika's Phila and Mthembu is there and joins us now. Qaanitah is there as well, and we'll go to her live momentarily. Phila, good morning.
Good morning to you, Iman. So proceedings have not started as yet. As you can see, there's still quite a lot of movement here within the courts. But what we understand is that both the inquests are going to be heard at two separate courts. Right now, I'm going to bring in the National Prosecuting Authority in KwaZulu-Natal. I'm going to speak to the NPA's Natasha Ramkisun-Kara. Thank you so much for your time, Natasha. It's quite a big story today. People came out in their numbers to actually hear what is going to be said in court. Firstly, if you could just take us through the formalities that we can expect.
So basically today the NPA will be requesting or making submissions for the reopening of these two inquests. And as you've said, they are in two different courts. We've got on the one court, we've got the inquest of Chief Albert Luthuli, and on the other side it will be of Griffiths Mxenge. So what will happen is, once the proceedings get underway, the state will make an opening remark or opening statement. That will be followed by the presiding officer or the judge making an opening statement, and then the inquest will get underway.
So Natasha, why are we doing this now? It's been 57 years already. Why now?
So firstly, if you understand this, these kind of things take a lot of time. So firstly, I can say it's a collaboration between the various stakeholders, the NPA, the GPCI, as well as the National Archives, in terms of investigating these matters. And I think what's imperative here, it's important, as a NPA, we are mandated to find justice on behalf of the victims of crime. In that case here, that is why we're here today.
And how confident is the NPA? I understand that it's hoping to present, evidence which would overturn the results which was given on the past inquest. So how confident are you?
Well, you see, in terms of how an inquest would work, it's not similar to a trial. In an inquest, the state will provide new evidence, will bring witnesses across, etc. And all that will do is help the presiding officer to reach a conclusion, because an inquest is held when somebody is said to have died of unnatural causes. So an inquest is an investigation to that. So what the state will do is provide further evidence, or should I say new evidence, to support the fact that this person may have not died of natural causes, yes.
Thank you so much for your time, Natasha. That was the NPA's Natasha Ramkisun-Kara here in KwaZulu-Natal. She is the spokesperson for the National Prosecuting Authority. But now let us go on to our colleague Qaanitah, who's on the other side of the court, and get the latest from her.
Thank you, Phila. Absolutely interesting momentarily as we build up to the opening of these two inquests, an attempt to get answers for what the apartheid government had concealed all those years ago. You would understand, Iman, that both the case of Albert Luthuli as well as Griffiths Mxenge came up at the Truth and Reconciliation Committee 1996. Since then, the NPA has been criticized in recent years for its slow movement on some of these cases in trying to get answers. It's 1962 is the time when Albert Luthuli, the President General of the ANC, was killed in a train accident. At the time, the ANC did not accept that explanation that there was no foul play. Subsequently, almost 20 years later, there was the brutal murder of Griffiths Mxenge. Earlier we heard from Jeff Hadebe saying that he was friends with Griffiths Mxenge, and that moment, that day that he was brutally assassinated in Umlazi, not far from Pietermaritzburg, where this inquest is sitting, was a day to remember and a legacy of the brutality of apartheid. So while this is a big political moment moment, or a big moment judicially. It is also a big moment in trying to reconcile the brutality of the apartheid regime, and more importantly, to give closure to these two families. A lot of the supporters of the ANC and of the families are currently in court as the judges will make that statement and begin proceedings shortly.
Yeah, and again, Qaanitah, as we heard from Phila as well, these are happening in two separate courts. These are two separate matters that need to be ventilated, and they're quite complex because they relate to historical crimes, essentially, in South Africa at a time when our history was so sensitive. So just give us the sort of, the drone view, if you will, replacing the term, that we used to say helicopter view. Now we're in the drone era. Just give us a view of the activities outside court, and again, just some of the practical arrangements that have been made to facilitate these inquests.
It's muted now outside of court because they are preparing for the beginning of the inquest, and so supporters of the ANC and the families are in the courtrooms and are, like you saw from Phila, around the courtrooms waiting to get inside. So that, a lot of activity from supporters of the African National Congress. We saw senior ANC leaders, Jeff Radebe, the spokesperson of the ANC as well here, and ANC KZN leaders Bundebele present. There will be provincial leaders that will be between the two courtrooms, and so an important moment for the African National Congress. They will too make a case to the court or presentation to the court as to what they think happened in the death of Albert Luthuli. Similarly, there will be an input in the case, an inquest of Griffiths Mxenge. Now, the important part is that last year, at the time, the Justice Minister, Ronald Lamola, signed off on reopening these inquiries. It's now a year later that the NPA has enrolled the matter and the court will hear it. It comes with the backdrop that many, many cases from the TRC have remained cold cases, as there is pressure on the prosecuting authority to find answers, to look at the evidence that was heard in the TRC and to actually move on those cases. Now, when it comes to the construct of justice, Iman, that's a difficult one, because in the case of Mxenge, for example, one of the people that had been implicated was FAC Plus Commander Dirk Coetzee, and he obviously has since died. And a lot of the people that may have been implicated in the evidence at the TRC may not be alive today. So the question is, what sort of comfort will this inquest give the family, given the sense that there may not be justice? But as we hear from many of the lawyers and political activists, that it is important to get the right side of the story, to rewrite the narrative put forward by the brutal apartheid government, and to confirm in open court that these two struggle heroes did not die as the apartheid government proclaimed, and that it was actually their culpability in these two very brutal murders.
Right, it's an important court matter that both Qaanitah and Phila are watching for us, and we'll go there.